What's up, y'all? Tommy here. So today what I'm going to be talking about is the difference between trade lines and primary credit lines. So if you've ever had questions about that or been a little confused, then you'll want to make sure that you stay tuned. So right off the bat, the first thing I want to do is talk about exactly what the definition of each of these things are, and then we can jump into what the big differences are between them. So when it comes to primary credit lines, these are basically accounts that have you as the primary owner, okay? So you can kind of think of these as pretty much any time that you apply for a credit card or really any form of credit for yourself, then this is the type of credit line that you're getting, right? It's just a primary credit line. So it's going to show you as the sole or the primary owner. And, this is really common. You're going to see this a lot with, credit cards. So when you're applying for a credit card in your name, and you're using your social or your information, this is going to be a primary credit line, right? And the big difference is with trade lines, right? Trade lines are really just credit cards, okay? Trade lines, the ones that you can actually buy, right? The one you can purchase online and you've seen a lot of people selling, those are really just regular credit cards. It's just those people are adding you as an authorized user on those credit cards. The idea of that is that whenever you get added as an authorized user, you could possibly inherit all the history of that card, right? Whether it's positive or negative, it's all added onto your credit report because you are now added as an authorized user, which means you're one of the people who can use that credit card. Now we'll jump more into that here in a little bit to break down even further so you understand exactly how all that works. So what is the actual big benefit of both of these different types of credit lines, right? A primary credit line, the benefit of that is it's actually owned by you, right? So since you've applied for that credit, you're in control. Whenever you decide that you want to remove that credit, you can do that whenever if you decide you want to keep it open, right? Because you guys got to kind of think about how your credit score is broken down, right? It's broken down into 5 categories. One of the categories is age of credit, which is about 15% of your score. So really, you want to try to keep accounts as open as long as possible. And that's typically why I recommend people open up credit cards that typically don't have annual fees, because the reason why is you can always keep those open, right? You just use it every once in a while, to make small purchases just to make sure they don't deactivate it. But you want to keep those cards open. That way it's building a long credit history for you, right? For example, in my case, I have a credit card that I've had open for over 10 years, right? I got it way back when. I think it might even be longer than that. I've had it since probably high school. And by just keeping that card open, it's showing that I have a really long credit history, at least for that specific card, right? And it's helping my average age of credit that is shown for my entire credit profile. So I think that's one of the big benefits of having your own primary credit line, is that you can help build your age of credit, and it's going to be there for as long as you want it to be, right? So that's one of the biggest benefits that I found, as well as it's going to always impact the other categories, whether it's payment history when we're talking about credit cards, right? And the example I gave you, payment history, also credit utilization if I'm not maxing out those cards and things like that. Now the benefit with trade lines is you can get added to the account fairly easily, right? You're added as an authorized user, just depending on what the credit card is, you can get added pretty easily. And the other benefit is you can see a large increase in your score. So that's kind of how people try to pitch the buying a trade line. And the idea is when you're buying that trade line, you can actually just have it added to your credit report, and you should see a big gain, especially if you have any maxed out credit cards, things like that, or even bad payment history, right? And those are really the 2 biggest categories of your score. Payment history accounts for 35% of your score, and 30% of your score is credit utilization, which is just how much of your credit cards you're using. They basically do a percentage, right? If you have $1,000 credit limit, right? And let's say you have one credit card and it has $1,000 limit, and you're using $500, or you have a balance of $500, your credit utilization is 50%, which is pretty high. You want to be closer to something like 10% or even lower. So what do I recommend? Now, in terms of which methods are the best to use, I think it's kind of mixing a bit of the two, but with a little twist on the trade line aspect, right? I typically recommend that you don't ever buy trade lines. I think that for a few reasons, right? One, I think you're paying for something that you're only going to have on your credit report for, depending on who the person is, they can have it on your credit report for like a month, right? It's not a long period at all. And I think that whenever you look at the benefit of it, it's not worth paying hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. I've heard of some people paying $1,200, $2,000 for a credit line. I think at that point, it's just not worth it, right? I think what you want to do is you want to actually be building positive credit history, your own positive credit history, right? Using the primary credit lines. But if you want to get into trade lines, what I think you should do is just look at being an authorized user on a close family member or friend's actual credit card that they have, right? And typically what I recommend you do in that case is, you know, if you have a family member who let's say they have a credit card that they've had open for years, right? 5 years, 10 years, the longer they've had it open, the better, right? And they've never missed payments, or they've missed very few payments. And all that means is they haven't really, you know, they haven't been 30 days late or 60 days late, anything like that, right? They're typically always paying on time. And the third component that you want to look at is make sure that they have a low credit utilization on it. And that means that they're not maxing out these cards. So really, if you can find someone that has a credit card and they have like a zero balance, they don't really use it that much, but they've had it open for a long time, that's really going to be the best case scenario that you're going to get, right? And those are the kind of cards that you want to be added as an authorized user to. So if you find a family member or really close family or a really close friend that you can actually get added to their card, I think that's going to be the best case. I think buying trade lines, I think it's just not worth it. I think there's other things that you can do that's going to be free, right? Or it's going to cost you a lot less than you having to pay for trade lines that you have no control over. The issue with trade lines is, think about this. What if the person who has that trade line that you got added to your credit report, if they get in a bad situation, right? Let's just say you pay somebody $1,000 for them to add you to a credit card they've had for 10 years that they've had good history on, right? They've been paying on time. They don't max it out, nothing like that. But, you know, some sort of situation came where they lost their job and now they're actually putting expenses on that card. You have no control over that because, like, you just paid to be added to that card. And now, you eventually, yes, they will take you off of the card, so that'll help you. But in the meantime, you're going to be taking a hit on your credit as well until you are removed, right? And then at the end of the day, even once they remove you, you just lost $1,000 getting by buying that trade line, and you have nothing to show for it, right? So that's why I typically recommend, you know, there's a lot of issues that can come into it. And even the scenario I gave you, the other ones you got to worry about is sometimes people charge you money for trade lines and you don't even get added, or the account gets shut down, right? That credit card company decides to, you know, shut down that credit card because they see that person keeps putting new authorized users on the card. Issues like that. And when you have situations like that, guys, it makes it where it's kind of shady because someone might charge you for something and not even do the work, right? They might not even give you the trade line, but you paid for it and things like that. So I recommend using the two methods that I gave you, right? Building your own or getting your own primary credit line. So you're applying for credit yourself, right? And I have a ton of resources. I'll attach down below. The top secured cards you can get. Even I have like a 10K credit lines that you can get access to. And it's yours, right? You add it to your credit report and you are the primary owner. You shut it down whenever you want to shut it off, right? And also, but I think those are going to be really the two best ways for you to be able to improve your credit score, right? And if you just do those two steps, you should be able to see a huge improvement. And I think those are going to be a lot more beneficial for you, especially both in the long term and the short term, right? By using those two techniques, you can kind of leverage it off, right? Think about it as like the getting added as an authorized user on a family member's card. That's more short term, right? It's going to give you that short term boost on your credit, but in the same time, you're also adding primary trade lines to be able to build your credit score for the long term, right? Or primary credit lines, so you're able to build your credit score for the long term, right? And so that's really what I try to do even with this channel, right? I want to make sure that the stuff I'm teaching you is stuff that's going to help you be able to have a good credit score, not just today or for a month so you can try to apply for random stuff, right? But it's something that you're building a credit score where in the future, you're going to have a 750, 800 credit score, and you're going to be able to get whatever you want to get and not feel like, you know, you got to find ways to try to scheme the system, right? So these are going to be techniques that you're going to be able to really get you to reaching your goals and to put you in a better place financially. All right, so that's going to be pretty much it for this video, guys. Again, I'm going to attach all the videos that I mentioned down below. Also, I have a 30-day credit boost guide that I've created that's going to show you how to be able to improve your credit score within 30 days. I'm going to attach the link to that down below as well. It's a free guide that you can get, and I'll email it out to you. As well as all the other videos, again, I'm going to link that down below. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure you throw a like on this video just so I know that I'm on the right track. And make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my future credit videos that I may release. Alrighty, so that's going to be it for this video, guys. I will see you at the next one.